So you've got a Raspberry Pi. This tiny little computer has some massive potential. But, before you can build that robot or create a smart home, you actually have to get it up and running. So let's do that. We're going to show you how to go from what's in the box to a fully booted desktop. And we're going to do it fast. Let's get started.
Okay, so here's the goal. We're going to get you from an unboxed board to a completely functional desktop computer. And this isn't just about setup, right? Think of this as your personal launchpad into the whole world of coding and creating with a Pi. So let's kick off this adventure. Every great project, I don't care if it's a media center or a weather station, it all starts with the basics. First things first, we got to get through this initial setup. And trust me, it's way easier than you probably think.
First up, we need to assemble your toolkit. To bring your Pi to life, you really only need a few key pieces of hardware. So let's break down exactly what they are.
Okay, there are 3 things that are absolute must-haves. First, obviously, the Raspberry Pi board itself. Second, you need a compatible power supply. And we'll talk a little more about that in a second. And third, a microSD card. This is super important because the Pi has no built-in storage. This little card? It's basically its hard drive. It holds the entire operating system.
Now, if you want to use your Pi like a standard desktop computer, you're going to need a monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse. It is possible to run it headless, which just means you access it remotely over a network from another computer. But for this first go-around, we're really aiming for that full, hands-on desktop experience.
And here's a really crucial point. Not all power supplies are created equal. The new Raspberry Pi 5, for instance, needs a more powerful supply. That's 5 volts at 5 amps, while older models like the Pi 4 need a little less juice. Seriously, using an underpowered supply is one of the most common reasons for weird crashes and instability, so matching it to your specific model is absolutely key for performance. All right, with our hardware all ready to go, it is time for probably the most important step. We're going to give our Raspberry Pi its brain. We are going to install its operating system.
The absolute best way to do this is with the official Raspberry Pi Imager. It's this free tool that makes what used to be a kind of complex and easy to mess up process, well, it makes it incredibly simple. It just automatically downloads the correct operating system and writes it perfectly to your microSD card. It's no wonder it's the official recommended method. So using the Imager is just a simple 5-step process. You install it, you select your Pi model and the OS you want, which is usually going to be Raspberry Pi OS. But check this out. The real magic here is step 3, customize. In this step, you can pre-configure your Wi-Fi, you can create a username and password, even enable remote access, all before you even boot the Pi for the first time. After that, you just choose your SD card, hit write, and you're golden. All right, the microSD card is all prepped. Let's move on to the most exciting part. We're going to bring this thing to life. It is time for the first boot. So you've put the microSD card in, you've connected your keyboard and mouse, you've plugged in the power. So what happens next? Well, what you see on the screen actually depends on one key choice you made back in the Imager. This basically shows the 2 paths you could take to your desktop. If you pre-configured all your settings in the Imager, your Pi boots up, connects to your Wi-Fi automatically, and boom, it takes you straight to the desktop. Super seamless. If you skip that customization step, no big deal. A simple setup wizard just pops up on screen to guide you through connecting to Wi-Fi and setting a password. Either way, you end up in the exact same place. And just like that, you have a working computer. I mean, the setup is done. So now the real adventure begins. What are you going to do with it? For your next steps, I'd suggest a couple of things. First, click that little Raspberry icon in the corner, go to Preferences, and check out Recommended Software. You're going to find a ton of free tools for office work, coding, all sorts of stuff. And second, head over to the official Raspberry Pi website and just browse their tutorials. They have some amazing step-by-step projects that are just perfect for beginners. So there you have it. You went from a bare board to a working computer in just a few simple steps. Your Raspberry Pi is now set up and it's ready for pretty much anything you can dream up. So the only question left is, what are you going to create first?